Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Topics, and I just wanted to film this video as we observe the rainy city of Dornogal right now. Gloomy and rainy. Maybe that's foreshadowing for this video, because that's what Mythic Plus is right now. um, but anyway, lots of people have been filming M Plus cook videos and how to fix M Plus, and so this is basically my rendition of that. So let's pull up the document here. So I have 8 points I want to touch on that I think will help improve / fix M+. Some of them you may have heard of, some of them you may haven't. Some of these on here I know I haven't heard of. So, I definitely don't want this video to be too long. I'm going to try and not be long-winded. It's supposed to be a short little cook video. First category is depletion and re-rolling. And the first thing that I think we should do, and I haven't heard too many people say this, is you get 3 key restores per week. So this is a similar system to the Catalyst. You'll just put in your key and it'll be restored to what it was previously. So it's kind of like a rewind. So there's 2 main uses that I see people using this for. It would be, let's say you have a plus 12 key, it depletes to an 11. You just stick it in the key restore catalyst and it'll turn back into a 12. So it's like rewinding your key. Another thing people might use this for is, let's say you deplete but time a key. You deplete but finish a key and it turns into a dungeon you don't want. Or let's say you even time a key, it plus 1s and it turns into a dungeon you don't want. You can still use the key restore and it'll go back to what it was. So it's kind of like a dual use. And I think 3 of them would be enough to put in some bad luck protection. Because, if you're pugging, a lot of people DC. A lot of people leave the group and rage quit or whatever it might be, and I think it's insane that Blizzard expects you to just have a depleted key because of that. Something that you can't control, something that literally there's nothing you could have done about it. So people will use their key restores for stuff like that, but they may just use it to get another chance at a key. So, there's a lot of purposes, a lot of ways you could use it, and I think this is a nice happy medium because I think no depletion is extreme, but I also think that it's far too punishing right now. Number 2 point here is a reroll vendor is present at the end of the dungeon, but it's also present in the main city in case you forget to reroll, and it'll stay present until you use that reroll. So you guys know what I'm talking about. It's the dude, the vendor at the end of a dungeon that is the same key level as what you already have. Then you can reroll your key, but if you leave that dungeon, it goes away. And there's no way for you to re-roll it. And I can't tell you how many times I've forgotten to re-roll my key and just left the dungeon. Some people have weak auras that are reminding them to re-roll. But I think it's crazy that Blizzard hasn't already done this. So they need to take that same vendor at the end of the dungeon and also put it in the main city in case you leave the dungeon and forget to re-roll. And let's say you just log out. You log back in the next day. That re-roll vendor is still there. From that key that you timed the previous day. And let's say you go do another key, 4 more keys, and you're like, oh shoot, I forgot to reroll my key earlier today. The vendor's still going to be there. Now, the rerolls don't stack. Like, you can't just keep timing equivalent keys and like stacking up rerolls, and then you go back to the vendor and you have like 7 rerolls. No, it's just the vendor just stays present until you use that one reroll from the dungeon you timed earlier. And obviously you couldn't like leave that vendor there and then you go time a 14, 15, 16 and now you want to reroll your 16. No, like it would only work on the key level that you earned the reroll in the first place. But yeah, I think they need to do this for people that forget to reroll at the end of dungeons. Lastly is depleting a key but finishing it rewards the same amount of crests. So there's not much of an explanation needed here. I think almost the entire M Plus community agrees with this one. When you deplete a key, but you finish it still and get to that chest at the end, you've still put in the same amount of time investment, if not more. So like what's Blizzard rewarding you for? Because the rewards for timing a key are that your key goes up, you might get IO, different dungeon, you get loot. So like you still get all those things. So why do you lose crests if you deplete it but still finish? It makes no sense. They're basically saying like, oh, you can spend 5 hours depleting keys all day in Mythic Plus and you're just gonna barely get any crests from it. It's disrespectful to your time, and I think that you just need to earn the same amount of crest whether you time or deplete a key, as long as you finish it and get to that chest at the end. So these are my takes on depletion and re-rolling. Again, I really think this first one is a great happy medium between some of the cooks that I've heard. Like, I think a currency that you can spend is a little bit much. I think no depletion is a little bit much, but I definitely think they shouldn't just leave it the way that it is. 3 key restores would be awesome. You could save them for DCs or rage quits, or you could just use them to get a second chance at a key that you really want to time. So there's some flexibility there. All right, next. Affixes and deaths. So the number one thing here is Xal'atath's Guile needs to be removed. We don't need to be penalized extra for deaths when you're already going to lose time due to DPS loss running back, and that there already was a 5-second penalty, which I think is enough, because if someone dies, you're going to lose 5 seconds off the timer. You're probably going to lose another 5, 10, 15, like it could even be more than that depending on the size of the pull in DPS. And if that person releases, they're going to have to run back. So like, there are some situations where you're losing a full minute just from one person dying if it's a big pull in the long run back. So there was absolutely no need to like punish deaths extra from here. The whole argument was that it's going to ensure that people play better or whatever the case. But the way that depletion works right now, people are already sweating. Like, they don't need more of a death timer to sweat. Like, they already don't want to deplete a key because it's so punishing. So they can just remove this. I also think Fortified and Tyrannical needs to be removed. After plus 10 keys this season, it means nothing because they're both active. So nothing fun happens with these affixes, right? Like, all that it does is make trash take longer and do more, or bosses. And I don't think it does anything to help with the learning of inexperienced players either. Like, trash is just going to take longer one week, and then the next week the bosses are just going to take longer and hit harder, and you're just rotating between which is more annoying. And then you get to plus 10 and they're both present, so they kind of cancel each other out. And I think it's time for these to be retired. They're old, they're legacy. I think they just need to remove them, have the dungeons be baselined the way that they're tuned, and if they need to tune bosses and trash from there, they can. But I definitely think Guile and Fortified Tyrannical needs to be removed. So essentially, that would just leave all of the other Xal'atath affixes in, like the 4 affixes in the lower keys below 12, and then they just get removed after 12. I literally think that that's how simple the affix system should be. It just rotates the Xal'atath's affix under 12 keys, and then once you hit 12, there is no affix, and that's just all there is to it. I don't think they need to cook more than that. And then lastly, respawn checkpoints need to be present after boss. This is about as agreed upon as the same amount of crests dropping. This is like a super popular viewpoint in the community. Right now, it's not intuitive where respawns happen. So like, if you're an inexperienced player and you accidentally press release and end up super far away, like, it really hurts your group. And you can't really blame inexperienced players for this either. Even experienced players, like, sometimes, we have 8 dungeons, there's all these different respawn points. Like, sometimes you just simply forget where the respawn point was, and you press release and you're like, oh shoot, I'm all the way at the beginning of the dungeon. So I think they just need to consistently be after each boss so that it just becomes general knowledge. Like, if it's like that, it's only going to be a matter of time before every single player just knows that you respawn after a boss. A really bad one I can think of is Siege of Paralis. If you skip, there's a popular skip at the beginning of the dungeon where you shroud. But if you release anytime after that, before you've killed the second boss, you actually respawn in the middle of the area you skipped. So you just you literally can't press release. So, and that would be fixed if the respawn point was after each boss. So let's move on to the last section here. Rewards and incentive. I won't spend too much time on this. There's not a lot to talk about, but I think the end of dungeon loot needs to consist of more gold. I kind of looked at the prices of things right now, and I think somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 seems reasonable. Mythic Plus is the most exhaustive endgame mode when it comes to, cost of maintenance. Pots, flasks, food, runes, weapon oil, repair hammers, invis pots, jumper cables. Like, most people are stocked up on all this stuff when they're running high M plus keys, and I don't think players should be expected to have some sort of side economy on the side just in order to play this game mode. If you're playing enough keys, like if you're filling your vault up every week with M plus keys and maybe even going beyond that, like the gold at the end of the dungeon should be enough for you to sustain yourself playing that game mode. You shouldn't have to go and be a professional blacksmith or alchemist or whatever on the side and have all this side economy going on just to play this game mode. And in my case, just buying WoW tokens endlessly to keep up with purchasing all this stuff. So they need to do this. And the last point is they need to create another goalpost or reward between portals, which is plus 10 keys, and title. And right now title is like almost all 15s. So that's like a 5 key gap and over 500 IO where there's like no incentive. And this is like the hardest 500 IO to get, right? Like going from portal level to title, you're kind of in that area where a lot of people don't have pre-mades and you're going to be progging a lot of keys. You know, we have KSM, which you get a mount, that's like 2,500. You have plus 10s, which is portals, I think it's like 2,750 or something. And then you have title, which is like 3,250 right now. But there's nothing in between 2,750 and 3,250. So I think the idea I had is that they put like another tier set recolor. So like right now, Raid has 3 colors. They have normal, heroic, and mythic, and LFG colors. They just need to do another recolor and put that at like 3,000 IO or all plus 12s timed. And you just get like another recolor of the tier set. Something to incentivize people to go past portal range and push a little bit higher into the harder keys. So these are my cooks for M+. These are the 8 things that I think would help the most. I did not touch on dungeon design. I did not touch on class balance or class design. And I did not touch on, you know, upgrade currency or loot acquisition or anything like that. This is simply just the Mythic Plus system. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, if you agree with these, if you don't agree with them, why not. I'm probably going to do another cook video soon on some of the other stuff. I think I'm going to do one on the upgrade system and the currencies like Valor Stones and Crests. I'm going to do one on that, and then I think I'll do another one on dungeon design and class balance. So if you're still with me, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos, and if you're still pushing, good luck.